Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
All right. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy Sunday as well. Welcome to the Token Metrics live stream, being joined by your host, Ian Balina, as well as Bill Noble and Forrest.
Hey Forrest, hey Bill, how are you? How are you guys?
Good.
Good,
Good.
good.
Thanks for having us.
Bill, how was Father's Day for you?
Sir, Father's Day is always a sweet day where you get to, take a deep breath and reflect on your accomplishments. It's a good day.
All right, awesome, awesome. All right, so the title for today's show, Crypto Market Update, because so many people have so many questions about the market. When bull market, will altcoins bounce back? We'll have you covered. Be sure to follow us on social media, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the podcast, tokenmetrics.com/podcast. All right. So with that being said, if you have any questions you want to post, go to menti.com, menti.com. Use the code 23659291. That's 23659291 to submit your questions. All right. So on the agenda, actually, first up, let's see who was first person on the live stream. First person was Slacker Dude. Thank you for joining. Slacker Dude was not slacking today. Followed by James. What's up, James? Jan, 25 Blake Harris, Dragon Ball Crypto, Jason, Mikkel, Eugenio, Frank, Rod and Cheese, Wax, 18 Black Mamba, Warren B, Leonard, Thomas, Wes. All right, all right. All right, so this is being brought to you by Tokenmetrics. Be sure to go to tokenmetrics.com and subscribe. We basically provide data-driven crypto research. So in times like this, having great research and having both human intelligence but also artificial intelligence help you become a smarter investor always gives you an edge in terms of making more money and also saving more money. For example, our Visual Trends indicator turned bearish on Bitcoin at 50K. So anybody who is following that indicator has saved some money. All right, so on the agenda today, we've done shoutouts. We have a few updates. Then we'll have Bill with his legendary market update, followed with Forrest's hidden gems. Then question of the day, thought of the week, and crypto showdown, where we tell you the three currencies we think have a chance to do well, and we pick one that we think will have the best month, followed by questions from the forum, and then the AMA. All right, so a few updates. We have Tokenmetrics TV. This is a daily premium network where we're posting premium content to our customers. So content in the last week, this market update. If you enjoy the market updates, we're doing that every weekday, Monday through Friday. That's 5 episodes. Then Forrest had a crypto foresights on BTC in the long term. Then I had a moon mission video where I showed how to use Aave and Polygon to basically borrow against my Polygon. So in essence, I cashed out some Polygon. This video is up there on TMTV, but I cashed out without having to cause a taxable event. Basically, I was able to borrow Polygon. I'm sorry, I was able to borrow a stable coin, basically Tether, adding my Polygon as collateral and not paying any taxes legally. So I know in the news there was this whole hoopla about billionaires not paying taxes, but guess what? With DeFi, this is available to anybody who can go to Polygon and use Aave. You can have the same tactics, the same legal tactics billionaires are leveraging to minimize their tax footprint is now available to all of us. So the video of me going through that entire process, I think it's about almost half an hour long, is available on TMTV. Then I also have a video on plotting with Chia using the Mad Max plotter, which is meant to speed up plotting. And then hidden gems with Forrest. And then Jad has a video on option strategies. And we also have Crypto Roundup with Dylan going through El Salvador and Mark Cuban. And then Crypto Happy Hour with Bill. And as a promotion, all this content is now available for free on YouTube to give you a preview on what TMTV is like. So if you have been seeing our videos, check that out, right? Then you can also use the coupon code JOINTHEFAM21. That's JOINTHEFAM21, all caps, for 20% off any plan. This coupon code expires on the 22nd. So you have 2 days to use this coupon. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. All right, so a few more admin things. Apologies. It's summertime. We've been getting lots of requests for internships. So we've also begun putting up the internships for Tokenmetrics on our careers page. Just go to tokenmetrics.com/careers. That's tokenmetrics.com/careers if you want to intern with us. And these internships are, I would say most of our interns ideally would be in the US, but all the internships are remote. So go there and apply. That being said, let's go to Bill with the market update.
All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Father's Day. And this is your market update. So just briefly, I noticed that the market is up today, obviously. A friend of mine did a nice poll over the last 24 hours with 65% of the people expecting ETH to take out 2K on the downside. This reinforces a notion that I've held for quite some time on the show, that if everyone thinks the same thing, something else happens. So people finally got bearish enough for the market to pop up. Now, one word of caution. During the bull market, there were several instances over U.S. holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and I believe Easter, where there were big downdrafts at or around those holidays that then created bottoms that allowed the market to move higher. I have a moderate concern, given the way legacy traded, that now we are doing the opposite. So we're having a holiday bounce. Yes, that's wonderful. I don't have to be in a bad mood as I eat my cheeseburger. However, I would caution, and let's calculate some levels and give you some navigation that's helpful, so you don't wind up either buying the top of a rally or missing in the start of a new rally. Now, if Bitcoin is above like 36.5 to 37,600, if Bitcoin takes out that area, I would consider that very positive. ETH, we've been discussing this for a while, that area between 2180 and 2200 is very good support. If that holds, there's a lot of promise in ETH, particularly since there's headlines over the weekend about the long-awaited entry of big legacy players into DeFi. Now, that said, if Bitcoin cannot take out this key level near, say, 37.5K, and stocks start to turn lower, all right, things could get very ugly in equities. I'll go through the charts later, but let me give it to you very, very simply. If you go to the grocery store, inflation is out of control. And the only way I think they have to stop it is to allow asset prices or stocks to fall. So either they're going to let the inflation run rampant, or they're going to let stocks drop to try and stop the inflation. Now, let's talk about something happy. It's Father's Day. Normally, Ethereum consolidates in 30-day increments, right? This is a log chart of ETH. Right now, we're essentially at the 30th day or just past the 30th day for the consolidation phase. So if institutions come to DeFi and if legacy holds together, I would say if there's a place to be bullish right now, it's ETH. Now, for Bitcoin, even though in an inflationary environment, Bitcoin being hard money is positive for the coin, realistically, I've really got to see that punch through 37,000. This is an intraday chart, so if you're watching this a month from now, it may not be exactly relevant, but it does provide a good example that when you have these Elliott wave structures where you fall in 5 waves or like a trend, that you've got to take out the top of that 4th wave before you can really start getting excited about the upside. So this case, it's 36.5K. You want to see Bitcoin take that out before you get too excited. Now, addressing some of our picks and some of our coins that have and have not worked. Perp, which held up incredibly well during the meat of the decline in April, has since slid and is now at the bottom end of its range at 5.5. So it's got a range of 5.5 to 12. Things like Audius, I believe, my colleagues could confirm that that's something that we would look to hodl. But things like, there are other coins. Perp is not one of them, but there are other coins where you would consider tax loss selling if the market continued to go lower. All right, Let's talk about Uniswap, another DeFi benchmark. I find it really interesting that Uniswap has made multiple attempts to go below 20. Okay, those attempts have failed going all the way back to February. It is theoretically possible that DeFi actually gets its footing if ETH holds together. Now, I know there's somebody out there thinking that I may be talking out of both sides of my mouth. I have to talk in probabilistic terms, but I am pretty happy that Uniswap saw buyers near 19 or 20. Now, let's talk about the real risks. Now, I'm not talking about the risks on Monday. I'm talking about the risks next week, next month, and even next year. Stocks, to me, are just getting to the point where society has to decide whether or not little people are going to be able to buy groceries or wealthy people are going to continue to have stocks as an instrument to borrow against to finance their lifestyles. It's almost a sociology problem at this point. When you saw equities roll over, I said to myself, I wonder if that was like the high. Just like in 2008, you had the low at 666. Equities have gotten very far away from a Gann line that has been relevant going back to 2016. A lot of times when, just like when Forrest draws his trend lines, when the S&P has gotten too far away from this line, there have been big flushes. I can definitely see something happening where S&P falls below 4,000. I can even see something where the S&P falls to 3,000. Okay, QQQ, okay, NASDAQ 100 containing all the big FANG stocks like Netflix, okay, Google, Microsoft, Apple. The negative divergences in these stocks on a weekly basis has been going on for so long, it's almost like no one pays attention to it anymore. However, if you have a situation where people cannot buy the dip in stocks successfully, let me rephrase. So everybody in stocks buys every dip. If the people who buy the dip off Friday's decline do not make money, I can see stocks going a lot lower. Now, how does that impact crypto? Well, I can see a counter rally where stocks go sideways to lower and DeFi does rally. However, please accept the fact that if there is a huge blowout in equities, it is possible that there's a flash crash lower to say 20K in Bitcoin. We'll go over it later in the stream, but I do not think at this juncture, Bitcoin is going to be immune or safe from any problems that happen in equities. So to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Grateful today is green, and I wish you the best going forward. Stay safe and stay frosty next week for equities, and that's the market update.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So if you enjoyed that market update, please smash the like button, subscribe, put on alerts, and join Tokenmetrics. Okay, so let's now segue to Forrest. Forrest?
Yep. Hey guys, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
There we go. All right. So we've got 5 projects on our watch list so far this week. We already went over these if you are a paying customer in the Hidden Gems Tokenmetrics TV episode this week, but we're bringing them to you on this YouTube live stream. First up is DYDX. You may already be aware of this project. It does not have a token yet. This is a decentralized derivatives exchange that has implemented a layer 2 ZK rollup solution. It's Starkware's ZK rollup solution, considered probably the best ZK rollup solution in existence currently on the Ethereum blockchain. So this is ultimately a decentralized derivatives exchange on Ethereum that has very low gas fees and where you can trade cryptocurrency, Ethereum, wrapped Bitcoin, Ethereum derivatives, perpetuals on leverage. there's been over $6 billion in trading volume executed on DYDX. This is a project that's competing with Injective Protocol. This is a project that's competing with PERP, and they've yet to launch a token. Yet they have raised a pretty insane amount of money. They just raised $65 million in a Series C. Before that, they raised $10 million in their Series B, and before that, they raised an additional $10 million in their Series A. So they've raised actually around $87 million so far from top-tier investors and VC funds in the space, including Andreessen Horowitz, Polychain Capital, Three Arrows Capital, Brian Armstrong, who's the founder of Coinbase, and you've got other big investors investing in this space. This is probably, decentralized derivatives is probably one of the spaces that I'm seeing the most money and the most bullishness come in from top tier VC funds, whether it's Injective Protocol, who I believe has seen investment from Mark Cuban, or PERP, a project that you guys know we like, that has seen investment from huge VC funds. Decentralized derivatives is absolutely a value play going forward. Beyond that, DYDX is already an established platform with tons of trading volume, and they've got a very solid team. They've got the team that can accomplish their goals. So there's not a token yet. However, we've done some research, and we do believe that it's pretty likely that DYDX could be launching a token sometime potentially in Q3 of 2021. So in the next several, technically in Q3 already, but sometime over the next couple months. It's very near on the horizon, and it's probably worth using this platform if you're not in the US, or if you're not in the US and you can trade perpetuals on DYDX. It's probably worth using this platform a little bit just in case they do an airdrop. Next up is Gitcoin. Gitcoin scored very well as well, and Gitcoin does open source funding for blockchain projects, particularly within the Ethereum, or predominantly in the Ethereum ecosystem. Their token is GTC, and it's a governance token for making decisions and governing Gitcoin. Right? Gitcoin provides grants to Ethereum projects, blockchain projects, or just general open source projects. They've provided over 16 million in funding to open source projects in their lifespan. They have over 90 employees. One of the things about this project that puts me on the edge about investing in it, probably would have scored an 85 or higher on our fundamental review. And the reason it didn't is because right now their token is primarily governance. So it's not a cash flow positive token. There's no rewards for voting in governance decisions, and it's unclear at this point in the crypto space how much demand governance only tokens drive. Right? Do people really want to participate in governance of these protocols and these DAOs? So other than that, Gitcoin, very solid project. Next up is Opulus. Opulus is very interesting. It's very early on in its stage. There's no token and obviously no market cap yet. And they're interestingly building on Algorand instead of Ethereum. But the idea here is that they're building a DeFi product centered around funding musicians and artists. Right? So the idea is that traditionally artists get ripped off by record labels, right? In the music space, only I believe 10% of the revenue generated actually makes its way to the artists, and the rest is kind of sucked up by middlemen, right? This is a project that's actually launched and backed by a large record label with over 100 employees. They support over 500,000 artists. They've processed over $1 billion royalties in their lifespan, and they represent some big artists such as Ed Sheeran, Chance the Rapper, and Sam Smith. And the idea here is that artists would be able to take out a DeFi loan backed by their existing or future NFT royalties, the NFT in this case being their music, right? So pulling directly from their website, loans are guaranteed against artists' past streaming revenues with the copyrights they own held as collateral. So if they have a copyright NFT on one of their songs, they can put that up as collateral to take out a loan to finance more growth as an artist or finance another song. Next up is composable finance. Composable finance also scored quite well. It is also a very early project, and they've managed to raise $7 million from Alameda Research, Divergence, and a few other VCs. And the idea here is that there's all these different layer 2 solutions popping up on Ethereum, and there's all these different layer 1 blockchains popping up. And what this creates is it creates a fractured liquidity problem where there might be a lot of liquidity in one layer 2 solution on Ethereum, and then there's a bunch of liquidity over on Algorand, for example, in our last example of looking at Opulus. And it's very difficult for developers of DeFi protocols to work with these liquidity silos. And Composable is trying to build the fabric or the infrastructure that makes it possible to connect these silos of liquidity, which is actually providing a lot of value to the space. Very early on, definitely a legitimate use case that provides a lot of value to the smart contract and blockchain space, and absolutely one to watch out for. Next up is Sunder Finance. Again, this is a very, very early stage project. They've really only just raised $2 million from some somewhat mediocre VCs. But what's interesting about Sunder Finance is that their use case is very interesting. And maybe it's not Sunder Finance that actually is able to pull off this use case and provide this value, but it's maybe another protocol arises into this space and uses this use case and is able to execute better. They did just IDO, which I don't like actually when projects IDO before they go live. They are live on testnet, but they don't have a working live decentralized application here. But what's interesting about Sunder Finance is the capital efficiency use case that they provide. And that's splitting token utility into their respective categories. So you've got compound tokens in this example here that has compound tokens have more than one use case or more than one utility. For one, when you get compound tokens, you have voting rights, right? Governance voting rights. And you also have a yield-bearing portion of that token. Well, you could deposit those into a Sunder vault to split them into their respective utilities and get two different tokens. Then, if you wanted, you could sell the utility of that respective token that you actually don't want to use. Or on the other hand, on the other side of things, you could actually buy just the utility from somebody else that you want from that token. So let's say you want to buy compound tokens, or you want to own compound tokens to vote in their governance proposals. It's not very capital efficient to buy an entire compound token, right? When compound tokens have all this utility that you're not actually wanting. Instead, you could buy the sundered DAO compound tokens for 10% of the cost, right? And that's just an example. But you can actually be more capital efficient about which pieces of utility from these tokens that you're buying. So very, very interesting use case, and one that I'm actually excited for a code review on, because if the code looks clean, this is a use case that I personally think provides a lot of value to the space. Those are our 5 projects on the watch list so far. Make sure you're tuning in to Token Metrics TV every Thursday if you're interested in more hidden gems.
All right. Apologies. All right. Thank you, Forrest. Okay. Let's now segue to question of the day. All right. So go to menti.com, menti.com. Use the code 23659291. All right. So question of the day: Ethereum's London hard fork set to go live on testnet starting June 24th. Will we see Ether bounce back soon? The options are yes. Oh, I don't think so. All right. So Bill, what do you think?
Well, Ethereum is holding 2,200, so I'll go with yes for the short-term trade.
All right. Forrest?
I'm going to say that Ethereum in the short term is probably going to do what the rest of the market does. I think this is a very big deal for Ethereum. EIP 1559 is huge, as is the Ethereum 2.0 merge, hopefully later in 2021. But we've known about this for several months, and I think we might be at a space where we actually saw it get priced in when Ethereum made its run over 4K. I think that might have been the EIP 1559 hype, and we've already seen the price action reflect that. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bounce in the short term, like Bill says.
All right. So I would have to say, I think there'll be a short burst, but I don't really think Ethereum will start going up until a few months later. So all the traders, all the speculators will go in, do their trade, get in, get out, take profits if it's up. And then I think Ethereum will start to become ultrasound money towards Q3, right? So I'm looking into probably September, October. So let's see what the audience has to say here. Okay, so the audience says yes. So tell us what you think. Do you think the audience is right or wrong? Tell us what you think down below. So some comments here from the audience. On-chain data says the opposite. We're not in a bear market. It can come from outside events, legacy market. Okay, seems people are talking about bear markets and bull markets. All right, so thank you for that. Let's now segue to the next section. Thought of the week. Can Bitcoin operate as a safe haven asset? The options are one, yes, Bitcoin has already become a safe haven asset. 2, Bitcoin is evolving into it. 3, no, I don't see Bitcoin become a safe haven asset in the near future. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, so if the question said crypto, I would say probably yes, but Bitcoin in particular, I think the space is still early, and I'm not bearish on Bitcoin, but I am somewhat of a skeptic in terms of whether or not it's the best safe haven asset. I actually think Ethereum becoming ultrasound money in the next year is going to make potentially an even better store of value than Bitcoin. We've talked about this in the past, so I'm gonna actually go with no here. I think the answer might lie with other cryptocurrency solutions than Bitcoin. Again, I'm not being a Bitcoin hater here. I think it has its place, but I am a little bit skeptical about what is potentially going to be that safe haven solution in the future.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Bill?
All right. So one thing that happens in down markets is people begin to search for what's safe, and normally a pretty healthy narrative consensus evolves around what's safe. And the fact is that if the market continues to go lower or there's a big event in legacy, nobody is safe. So I would go with the middle pick that Bitcoin is probably trying to evolve into something that protects you, but that doesn't mean that, if there's a drop in risk assets as a whole, that Bitcoin is in any way immune to that.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, so for me, out of these 3 options, I would have to say, yes, I mean, Bitcoin is a safe haven asset. We saw this last year during the pandemic. Initially, it went down with everything, but after a while, it decoupled and began to really show why people were hedging into Bitcoin, right? We saw institutions get into Bitcoin, all the billionaires getting into Bitcoin, and towards the end of the year, it was basically a trade where if you went in Bitcoin, you're basically on the verge of having to be fired as an investor. But now, I think this year will be the evolution of all of crypto becoming a safe haven asset. So whether that's Ethereum being ultrasound money, whether that's some new altcoin, whether it's algorithmic stablecoins, whether it's anything else, right? I think we're now really getting into DeFi and seeing the space as a whole is innovating. So the question here is Bitcoin a safe haven asset? I would say yes. All right, so let's see what the audience has to say. All right, so the audience thinks Bitcoin is evolving into a safe haven asset. Then second, yes, it's already become a safe haven, and then no was the last one. So let's see what people have to say. Swing King says he agrees. Gary says BTC has way too much volatility to be a safe haven asset right now, maybe in 5 years. All right. Solo TV, hey, what's up, Solo? Hope you're doing well. Mindy says, I agree with Bill. It's evolving. Jarek says, if BTC dumps, the space dumps, including Ethereum. I'd rather be holding BTC than ETH. All right. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's now segue to Crypto Showdown. Top altcoin picks for the month. So we're currently in June, and we're going to go through and look at 3 altcoins that have been popular with our customers on tokenmetrics.com. So the options are AMP, AMP, Chainlink, Link, and Cardano, ADA. So these are 3 popular altcoins, and we'll go through and share our thoughts on which ones we think will have the best month. Let's begin with Bill.
All right. Well, I think in this particular case, I'm looking at AMP right now on my screen. Let me see if I can pull this up. You know, I'm always one, and I know because I've learned and I've sort of picked this up from Forrest that, you know, you really don't want to fade Chainlink. If you can see my chart of AMP here, you know, this is done well, but buying strength in a down market, like if you happen to buy the one thing that was up, great. But I'm not sure that you should continue to chase this. Although, look here, right? You know, it goes down and someone was ready at 8 cents to get it. Okay. I think that, you know, Chainlink is a place where you want to be looking, okay, mainly because it's just so beat up, right? This decline down here is probably a liquidity event, okay, for people to get Chainlink below or around $20. So I have a really hard time saying that Chainlink could not do well if it was a stable June. And of course, as we know, that's a big if.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chainlink. I think Chainlink's actually a solid buy right now. Could it go lower? Of course, everything in crypto could go much lower, but it's below its channel. It's below its trend line. It's like Bill said, it's been beat up repeatedly. I think AMP is probably, you know, regardless of whether or not it's a good project or not, I don't think the entry point is very good right now at over 9 cents. It has fallen a little bit, and like Bill said, it had some buyers come in at 8 cents to support. But overall, it's up 55% over the last week. If we did see a little flash crash in the crypto market, I think AMP could get absolutely, destroyed just because it's so far overextended to the top side and it's been outperforming everything lately. I think it has a larger distance to fall. And then Cardano, I don't think really has any upcoming catalyst events, whereas Chainlink, I believe the consumption of Chainlink and the demand for Chainlink is going up. Don't quote me on this, but with Arbitrum going live, I believe Chainlink is in some way supporting Arbitrum and the price feeds for Arbitrum, which could ultimately lead to a higher consumption of Chainlink. And we know just basic laws of supply and demand, that would cause the price of Chainlink to rise. So I'm going to go with Chainlink.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Thank you, Bill. So if we go to token metrics, let's look at Chainlink here, actually. So we're looking pretty much just at the next month or so. So the visual trends indicator is bearish on Chainlink. If we go to the price predictions, let's just pull that up real quick. So price predictions pretty much has Chainlink going pretty much sideways for the next month or so. So looking at Cardano, same thing. Visual trends indicator is bearish. And if we go to the price prediction, it's also going pretty much sideways and flat. Now, if we go to AMP, the visual trends indicator actually turned bullish, which is actually pretty interesting because the market hasn't been doing too well. It turned bullish on June 9th when it was at 7 cents and is currently at about 9 cents, almost 10 cents. And if we go to the price prediction for this, if there is one. So this actually has it going down. So this is where the visual trends indicator and the price prediction kind of disagree in a way. So going back to the question, which one do I think will do the best this month? For now, I would have to still go with AMP, just based on it being bullish right now, based on the visual trends indicator. But I do agree with Forrest, as he mentioned. This is pretty much a trade. This is pure speculation. When the music stops, this could basically crash, right? And that's what we're basically seeing here with the price prediction. So if anything, I'll treat this as a trade. I think it can keep on going, but I would not put more than 1% of my portfolio into this. All right, so let's see what the audience has to say. And the winner is Cardano. Oh, wow. Team Cardano. All right, so if you voted for Cardano, post down below. Tell us what you think. Hey, Ilya, how are you? Fidemus. Okay, Mickey says AMP. Let's see who else has any. Mickey also says Chainlink. Crypto E says ADA. All right, so the audience loves Cardano. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's go to the next segment. Okay, this is a question from the Tokenmetrics forum. You can check it out by going to forum.tokenmetrics.com. Slimming down your portfolio for a crypto winter. I like the title already. Question for the forum. If we head into a bearish 6 months, what projects are people dumping with a potential view to pick back up at a later stage? I know a lot of people hodl on forever, but for me, if we hit a major downtrend and it transpires, we are done for 2021. The only projects I will hold long-term are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP. Literally everything else I will be dumping, with entry points set up to come back when the market looks better. Not saying the bull run is over, but just playing devil's advocate here. Assuming it is, are people selling the speculative stuff, or are they holding it or accumulating? Very, very good question, and question I think probably the entire audience wants to know as well. Bill, what's your answer to this question?
All right, well, let's begin with bear market and crypto winter 101. People throw these terms around. If it's bear market or crypto winter, respectfully, no one's holding anything because everything takes a fast track to zero, or it looks like it's going to go to zero. Just remember, Ethereum traded at 80 on 2 different occasions. So you can say that you want to hodl something, that's great, but if you want to hodl it through a crypto winter, then you've got to have an idea of where you would be buying it on like a dollar cost averaging basis. So if you really like it that much and you're that convicted, then you would want to be buying it on the way down. If you're looking at it at today's prices and say, I'm going to hodl it if it goes down 80%, that might be the recipe for psychological anguish. Now, in terms of what people have done, I don't think people have sold. I think people had things staked and locked up. Perhaps that has been unwound. But I think this market just moved too fast for a lot of retail traders, and they just left their positions. I think the best thing you can do is not focus on whether or not it's crypto winter or not. It's to say, okay, I did a trade, and am I better off tax loss selling this than I am trying to hodl it, hoping it's a part of the next bull cycle? Now, if you're holding quality and ETH is above 2,200 and legacy is not crashing, then leave it. Leave your positions and give yourself a chance, and don't get shaken out if it's not a bear market. So, give yourself a chance, tax loss sell, right? Because that's got to make sense if you've got a wrecked portfolio across the board. And just remember, crypto winters and bear markets, it sounds great because everyone's like, ooh, I get to buy the dip. But winter and bear markets imply misery. So don't wish for that.
All right, thank you, Bill. So actually, Mickey has a comment for Bill. He's saying, Bill, you are too real and honest to be in this industry. Thank you for being realistic. All right. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, so it kind of, to me, it might differ for everybody. You kind of have to identify what your strategy is, right? If you're a value investor and you feel the need to sell your investments because we're potentially going into a bear market, you have to ask yourself why you invested in that project or altcoin in the first place and what changed about it. If it's just price changing, maybe it's the time to double down when the price drops rather than getting rid of some. There's a cheesy saying that goes something along the lines of you should never trade an investment and never invest in a trade. If you are, selling because of a potential bear market and trying to free up some capital, now you've got to realize that you're kind of trading now. You're not necessarily long-term investing, or you're kind of mixing the two. And I personally do. I don't mind mixing the two. I do some trading and I do some value investing, but I try to keep the strategy somewhat separate. For example, I value invested in Audius, and I don't plan on selling my audio token in a bear market. In fact, I'm going to continue to stake it for more than 25% throughout the entire bear market and probably look to add to that position. But there are certain tokens and certain altcoins and investments that I'm more than happy to try to unlock some capital from, take some profits on if we get a really good exit point, which for me is going to be when Bitcoin retests its downtrend line, and then use that capital intelligently, smartly to buy in a bear market or when prices drop. You also have to take into account potential catalysts around certain cryptocurrencies and certain things, right? We might be going into a bear market, right? That's a distinct possibility, but do you really want to sell your Ethereum right before you got EIP 1559? Do you really want to sell your Ethereum before it merges into Ethereum 2.0 and Ethereum then becomes deflationary and we could see it rally? You have to take these things, these individual catalysts on your investments into considerations. And that's where it's really important to actually know your investment, right? Is there a high amount of a high distribution rate, right? Does your investment have a very high inflation rate that's going to accelerate accelerate the rate at which its price is decreasing through a bear market? Then maybe it's actually smart to get rid of it, let the supply inflate, and then rebuy when it's more inflated and the price is lower. So you really need to know your individual investments, really need to know yourself as an investor, and you really need to know what your overall strategy and plan is and plan accordingly.
All right. Great answers, Forrest and Bill. So, in terms of what would I do, right? If we enter a bear market, what am I selling? Honestly, I would say I would sell projects that, one, haven't done well. They've basically lost money. And two, projects where I think the fundamentals have fundamentally changed to a point where when the next bull market comes back, I don't think they'll bounce back. So for example, let's say I like a project. For example, let's say like Armor Finance, right? It's doing insurance on DeFi, Ethereum blockchain. But let's say some other project comes out that's doing the same exact thing, same use case, but even better technology, better token economics. That just makes more sense, right? Because Armor got a code review score of 84. Let's say the project comes out with a code review of 92. That could cause me to possibly change and cash out. Outside of that, nothing really, right? Because what Forrest mentioned, at least for me personally, I'm more of a long-term investor. So I try not to trade, because lots of people try to trade and end up actually losing more money because it's very hard to time the market. And just being around, especially in a bear market, is where most of the money is made, because that's when everything is on sale. So if anything, I'll be looking more to buy. So going through my portfolio, though, let me just try to be as transparent as possible. So I'm definitely not selling Matic, not Ethereum, not Helium. Benchmark protocol I have. That one I would say possibly, but right now no plans to sell. Filecoin I'm not selling. Perp not selling. LDO Lido not selling. 1inch not selling. Audio not selling. Siren Maybe. I mean, I may consolidate because I do have lots of dexes. Siren is options. Then I have perp. Then I have opium as well. So I might downsize to maybe just one token in that space. So I may have to just pick one that I think will win out as opposed to having so many. Armor, maybe, but for now, not really. P Network, not really. Idle, no. Tornado, that one possibly. I mean, it's great technology, but their token utility is pretty much useless. It's pretty much just a governance token. So I would look to see if there's any potential of them even improving the tokenomics and giving token holders an actual reason to hold the token besides just governance. Alchemix definitely not selling. Uniswap not selling. Vesper and Idle basically kind of do the same thing. So I may downsize and maybe just pick one out of the two. I think probably Idle, but for now, no plans to sell Vesper. And that's pretty much it. So with that being said, tell us what you think. What tokens would you sell in a bear market? Tell us down below in the comments. James says, I'm not selling. Neo says, yes, bear market, crypto winter is painful. Mickey says, I agree, bear market is where crypto millionaires are molded. Absolutely. All right. So tell us what you think down below in the comments. Let's move on now to the AMA. And for those of you watching this stream on Facebook, as usual, please ignore the comments asking for people to send you money or crypto. We are not giving away any free crypto. That is a scam, obviously. Okay, so first question is your thoughts on PokerSwap. So I believe we did score this. I think it scored a 70 something, if I believe. Do you recall the score of this, Forrest?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, because if I recall, it scored a 70 something, maybe a 75. It definitely didn't score over an 80. So it's a decent project, good project. Go ahead.
77 on fundamentals. I don't know exactly what the code review is. So yeah, decent.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a decent project, but not like the best thing since sliced bread. We are friends with the founder, Makoto, a good guy, and his past project did pretty well. Sora, XOR. I think that did over 1,000x return to early investors. So people had life-changing wealth with that. Bill, any thoughts on PokerSwap?
Not on PolkaSwap. I mean, I think you have to stick with Polkadot itself until the market settles down.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. Next question. I want to start providing liquidity to the pools on Integral, but was wondering what the rewards are since there's no token, and is there any insurance? So there is a token, and I myself did invest in the token. I was part of their token sale. But the token I think is locked, so it's not trading yet. But you can earn rewards through the liquidity pools by going to their DEX. Forrest, do you want to share maybe what you're doing with Integral and the LP?
Yeah, so Integral's, I think a really solid project. It scored very well on both fundamentals. I believe it was 85 or higher on both fundamentals and code review. Integral, you can, it's just like Uniswap, where you can provide different pairs to liquidity pools. You can do similar to Bancor Network, single-sided liquidity. That's actually what I did. I moved a nice chunk of my Chainlink over to Integral. And because Integral has a delay mechanism on trades, there's no front running and there's protection against impermanent loss. And you can actually experience impermanent gain with Integral. For me personally, I don't know if it's mainly because I got in early or the timing with which that I deposited my Chainlink, but I've actually experienced roughly a 40% impermanent gain. Whereas in addition to the fee rewards like you would normally get through Uniswap or any DEX, SushiSwap, any DEX, any liquidity pools, the amount of Chainlink that I have in there has actually gone up by 40% because I've experienced impermanent gain, where some of my market making has exchanged my Chainlink for Ethereum at very desirable rates for me that have actually benefited and made my total pool holdings worth 40% more chain link than what I actually started with. So far, so good. It's very early still. We'll see how it pans out, but it's absolutely a good project from a fundamental and code review standpoint.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So I've actually pulled up the site. So if you just go to integral.link/deposit, you can go then click on pools. You can see all the pools, right? So right now we're looking at the Ethereum Wrapped Bitcoin pool, and the LP rewards for this is 26% APY. Now, if you go, like, let me click on one of my wallets here. So these are the different pairs, and these are this is the APY, right? So right now I am providing liquidity to the USDC wrapped ETH pool, and this is paying out 53%, which is actually pretty cool, right? So these are the current rates. Now this fluctuates, so definitely keep an eye on this, but it's a project I think has potential, especially compared to what other projects have done in the space, and that's why I ended up investing in this. But thank you for that question. Okay, thoughts on RugDoc. We can't really do deep dives on projects right now, unfortunately, but we'll have our team look into that. Okay, question: where do you see Alpha going? Is it time to take the loss and move on? No, I mean, well, I mean, if you're trading it, then you should be doing technical analysis, right? But if you're not trading it, then if the fundamentals haven't changed, it actually got better, then you should either buy more, right, to decrease your cost basis, or you should just hodl, right? Because Alpha has great technology and it's going to bounce back. Now, I didn't buy this. I didn't buy any Alpha, even though it was great technology, because I felt it was overvalued. I felt I was late to the game, and I was waiting for a large correction, right? Because let's actually pull this up here. So let's do Alpha. Just give me 1 second. So this is why I think most people lose money in crypto, because as Forrest mentioned, they turn an investment into a trade, and that's where because you have to be very, very diligent. Because are you a trader or are you an investor? Pick one, right? If you try to do both, you end up doing neither of them well, right? Because you can't be halfway pregnant, basically, right? Are you a trader or are you an investor, right? If you're halfway pregnant, you end up being fully wrecked, in my opinion, right? So looking at this, right, in 1 month it's down almost 60%, right? Now, when we were looking at this, the market cap was $500 million, and I thought to myself, great technology, but it's overvalued. If you've seen my video on Moon Mission on value investing, a project can be great, but overvalued. So what I did is I just put this on my watch list, and I've just been watching this, right? I may end up buying this if it keeps on going down, right? If we enter a bear market, this is definitely a project I would likely buy, right? So the question, going back to your question here in the AMA, where do you see Alpha going? To my knowledge, the fundamentals have been getting better and better, because you can be looking at the price. The price is basically what the market is reacting to. But as a value investor, you don't invest based on market reactions. You invest based on fundamentals, based on research, right? Because if you go where the wind blows, then your portfolio will go where the wind blows as well. Because we're not trading, we're not writing a trend. We're doing actual research, actual analysis. And once you do that, then you invest based off of that, not based on the price, right? Because if you're looking at the price and just investing based off of that, you're not really investing. You're basically speculating. You're basically gambling. And if you're gambling, then you should probably get out, right? Because gamblers don't really make good investors. But anyway, anybody else with any comments on this in terms of what they should do with Alpha? Bill or Forrest?
I'm a big fan of adding to your position as it goes lower. I'll be adding to my position if we go into any sort of bear market. I believe Alpha has great technology, and I also think it's one of the few projects that have really, really solid tokenomics and token utility that make it a high demand token to own and hold long term.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Okay, so just one brief note. So everybody has said all the great things that you should think about when investing, dollar cost averaging, and evaluating technology. Now, that said, if you bought Alpha because you thought it was going to 10x and it did the opposite, then clear your head, right? Admit to yourself, why did I buy this token? If you were looking for the 10x, you're not going to be able to think clearly until you clear out the position. Personally, I have it. I'm holding it. I'm leaving it for the next market cycle, unless my accountant said, Bill, let's hit the zero bid and take the loss. But until then, I'm holding it.
All right. Now, do any of you guys have any info on V2? Because they launched Alpha V2 recently. I believe that. Do you recall what Brad's analysis was on that, Forrest, on Alpha?
I don't recall exactly. I know there's been some developments, I believe, in leveraged yield farming, but then there's also some developments on projects can now launch on Alpha, and I haven't done a ton of research here. That's been Brad's forte, but I believe you qualify for airdrops if you're an Alpha holder and projects launch on Alpha.
Okay, all right, so I just pulled this up here. So they launched Alpha Homura V2, which says V2 allows users to leverage yield farm on Carve, Balancer, SushiSwap, and Uniswap. Users can take leverage on many assets, including ETH, stablecoins, up to 9x, and other assets. All right, so when I look at this, I'm thinking, okay, if I liked Alpha before that, now they're improving, now they're executing, now they're delivering a better product, now the fundamentals have changed. I mean, why, if I already own it, why would I sell, right? But I mean, I definitely do get people who maybe have want to clear their head. But honestly, I mean, if you want to clear your head, just don't look at it. I mean, you just walk away, come back in 5 years. That's how you clear your head, all right? Go out for a walk, But anyway, tell us what you think down below in the comments. Okay, all right. Thank you for those questions. Okay, next question. Why do you like Alchemix so much? I mean, because this is a game changer. We've done a deep dive on this in the code review and a video on Moon Mission, but it's essentially this, right? I'm bullish on Ethereum long term. I think Ethereum will flip Bitcoin, right? So let's just go to token metrics real quick. But because let's say I think Ethereum is going to go to $10,000. Or actually, here, I'll make it even simpler, right? Imagine you buy Ethereum and the token sale, right? In the ICO back in 2016 at, let's say, 20 or 30 cents, right? You buy Ethereum at 20 cents. You think this is the future. It's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. You've done your research, you've done the code review and everything, and you think Ethereum is going to go to $4,000 like it did this year. But you got in at 20 cents. Why would you sell as Ethereum is going up? Because you basically could put in $1,000 and become an Ethereum millionaire. So the question is, why would you sell? Because you want to take profits. But at the same time, you're missing out on the future upside of Ethereum. Right? So what if there was a way for you to take out profits without having to sell or pay taxes legally, right? And Alchemix lets you do that. It lets you deposit your Ethereum as collateral and not have to pay any taxes on it, right? Because you're basically borrowing, you use your Ethereum as collateral to borrow against it. But why I like this over other platforms, for example, like Aave, which is pretty good. I use Aave for Polygon, or even Liquidity. Other platforms, they depend on the price of Ethereum. If Ethereum price crashes, because we're on crypto, there's lots of volatility. If the price crashes, they can liquidate your collateral. They can sell it. Basically, they can call a margin call on you. Alchemix does not do that. So you can borrow against your Ethereum or DAI, a stablecoin, without having to ever sell your collateral, because your collateral is put into DeFi, into Yearn Finance, into a vault where your collateral earns yield. And that yield could be anywhere from 10 to 30% APY in 1 year, right? So imagine you have $1,000 in Ethereum at 30 cents. and just make the math simple. Let's say you end up having $1 million in Ethereum and you want to take some money out but never want to sell. You just put $1 million of Ethereum into Altcoins. You borrow, right now it's 400% collateral ratio. So you basically borrow 250K worth of Ethereum or DAI, or I'm sorry, ALETH or DAI. But let's make things simple. Let's say you add Ethereum and they give you ALETH, you cash out to stablecoin. So you basically borrowed $250,000 out, but that $1 million of ETH is earning, let's say 10%, or let's say it's doing pretty well. Let's say 20%, right? But so that's over 100 grand on $1 million, and that's being used to pay back your loan of $250,000. So basically, your loan will be paid back in, let's say, 2 to 3 years. And once it's paid back, you have access to your collateral again. So you basically are cashing out without having to pay any taxes, and you still have the upside if Ethereum goes to 10,000 or 100,000, right? So that's why I think it's a game changer, and I've used it, and I think this is really the way to never have to sell your Ethereum ever again. Anybody on the team with any comments on Alchemix?
Yeah, all the things you just said, it just in other terms, you're basically getting another way to think about it is you're getting an advance on your yield farming, on your interest, right? Which is extremely capital efficient because, like Ian just said, you can use that 250K to cash out and take profits, but you can also invest that 250K without having to put your initial Ethereum at risk. So the utility and what you actually do with that loan is potentially endless. You could use that 250K to put a down payment on a house or to buy a house. You could use that to speculate on altcoins. You could put that 250K into a year-end finance vault and earn 7 to 15% on it, right? You're basically unlocking a ton of capital, 25% of your initial allocation, your initial deposit, in a very, very low risk way. So a big fan of Alchemix as well.
All right, so a question here from Ravin. How long has Alchemix been around? Can we really trust it not to steal our Ethereum? Good question. It's been around for less than a year, about 6 months or so. I mean, everything in DeFi and crypto, especially with smart contracts, can be hacked. So that there is that risk. So what I do is I never put everything into all these smart contracts, right? I may put 20 to 25% of my Ethereum into Alchemix. And then even with that, I may end up getting insurance using Armor Finance, for example, right? So you always want to hedge and never put everything into one single project. So you definitely want to do that. But our team has gone through, we've done the research. I know there was an issue with Altcoins recently, but to me, that's water under the bridge. Long term, I think this is a very solid project. All right, let's go on to the next question. Does the Tokenmetrics team invest in assets outside of crypto, for example, in the bear market? Yeah, I mean, basically, I do invest in stocks, but it's basically on autopilot. I just invest in indices, basically through platforms like Betterment, Wealthfront. Every single 2 weeks, actually, everything's just on autopilot, just dollar cost averaging into stocks. But my stocks, I mean, it's probably like 1% of my net worth. Everything else is pretty much all in on crypto. Recently, I began getting into art. Because I moved here in a new place and trying to put up some art. I might even think about tokenizing it and turning them into NFTs. So that's something I'm probably going to get more into. But that's pretty much it. Bill or Forrest?
For me, predominantly, I would say the same, like 99.9% in crypto. I do own a little bit of AMC stock that I 5x'd on. I think I got in at $10 to $12, and now it's worth 60. Didn't put a ton on, more of a speculative play more than anything. Other than that, just the basic 401k, owning a home, paying off the mortgage. So, technically somewhat investing in real estate, but just the standard stuff, and everything else is in crypto because it's the fastest growing asset, and I believe it's the future.
All right, Bill?
All right. So after 16 years, you'll forgive me if I'm allergic to legacy. So I pass on most of that. I want to do NFTs. I want to actually make and eventually like sell NFTs somehow as a part of my crypto game. So if I'm going to diversify, I want to get into that end of things.
All right. Thank you, Bill. And we actually did a recent review on Rarible, which scored pretty well. I've been helping some friends here in Austin mint some NFTs. We helped an artist mint an art NFT. And I think, first of all, art is a great investment from the research I've been doing into it. And I'm getting more and more receptive to it. It's definitely different from investing in crypto. But if we can find ways to make money in NFTs, basically value investing in art and NFTs could be something I may do a lot more of in the future. All right, so let's go on to the next question. Can Matic do a 10x from here? I think so. Why not? Right? Because if we look at the price of Matic or Polygon, it's basically at around $1.40 last time I checked today. And a 10x would basically, we have $1.41. So can Matic go to $14? Now the question is, I think so, but the question is what time frame, right? That would basically, assuming there's no dilution in supply, to keep numbers simple, it would basically have to go to an $89 billion market cap, right? Where would that put it? That would put it, so I think it's possible, especially if Ethereum and DeFi keep on growing, but it's going to take a while. I don't think it's something that's going to happen anytime soon, because right now we're looking at 89 billion would make it a top 3 coin. So can Matic become top 3 coin? If anything, I would actually defer to Forrest's his forecast. Forrest?
Yeah, so I don't have the Matic price prediction right in front
Do
of
you
me. I
recall
can pull it up.
what the bullish scenario was?
I
for Matic?
don't off the top of my head. I can look it up real quick though. And if we go to Bill for a second, and then
All
I'll
right.
have it pulled up.
Yeah. All right, Bill, any thoughts on Matic? Do you think Matic can do a 10x?
Okay, well, in this market, I'm staying away from the term 10x, because, I just don't want people to think that just because a coin is trading well, that it can, go and do things in a bear market or in a sideways market that it was doing in the bull market. Now, that said, you and I have had the experience of Matic being a one coin altcoin market. So when I look at Matic, right, it's a lot closer to support than it is to resistance. Support's at 115. It could probably go back to 240. My guess is in a great scenario, okay, you're probably looking at a 3x to say $4. Okay. So the way this would probably work is everything else goes sideways. It's probably ETH up a little and Matic and Helium up a lot. Just because those are totally unique value propositions, and because the Helium devices haven't shipped yet, they're under-owned, and Matic is probably under-owned outside, the hardcore crypto community that's listening to Ian. The Coinbase sort of herd probably hasn't discovered it yet.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Forrest, have you had a chance to pull that up?
Yeah, I'll share my screen here, and we'll see. So this analysis was done essentially when and right after Matic, and the entire market for that matter, actually initially crashed. Like we did a Token Metrics TV episode on Matic where we talked about this line being potential resistance, and then lo and behold, that ended up being exactly where we topped out. I believe this was around $2.54. This trend line and channel is actually still valid. All right, so this analysis was based off of two things: these trend lines for Matic, which if we go over to Matic, this trend line, it's actually held its trend line really well, which is no surprise because Matic's overall price action since this crash has been quite good. It's really just been somewhat of a normal consolidation, right? If we didn't know the state of the rest of the market, like if we didn't know that Bitcoin had crashed 53%, this would actually look like pretty standard bull market consolidation if we were just looking at Matic's chart. So its trend line is actually still relevant, which leads me to believe that the overall bullish scenario is probably still relevant, right? We had a bullish scenario of $8.22. And we had a maximum kind of outer bound of $16.43. So that would be your 10x. It would be a little bit of a stretch from here. The other thing that this analysis was based off of is potentially hitting a cap of 10 trillion in total market or total cryptocurrency market cap. We know we've since seen a big correction. That being said, if we go back into a bull market and we see these $5 trillion or $10 trillion scenarios, then I'd say absolutely the $8+ Matic is on the table. If we see bearish price action for the total cryptocurrency space as a whole, then maybe Matic's able to continue to skate along its trend line and continue to do well. But I'd be more skeptical about seeing $8+ if the rest of the crypto market can't pick back up as well. But like I said, if it does pick back up, I think Matic is actually in a pretty good space to if you're considering a purchase. It's on its trend line. Again, we're in a precarious spot overall in crypto, but Matic as an individual pickup is resting on its trend line, which has historically been support, and maybe we see another bounce
Question
here.
first. So,
Yep.
what time frame on the trend line would it take for Matic to get to $14?
Yeah, so if it can maintain this trend line, which this is a steep trend line, and it is difficult for even really solid projects to maintain these trend lines for a very long period of time. This one dates back to around December 2020, the beginning of the year. $14 would put us sometime around September. Let's see, 14, we're looking at actually, let me extend this a little bit further. We're looking around, September, mid-September, maybe October, which if we get a rally in the market and Bitcoin can get to 70, 80, 90, $100,000, I think that this is probably a realistic price range for Matic, considering how good of a project it is. Again, I don't see it getting to those levels without the rest of the crypto market rallying. Seeing Matic decouple and get to those levels by September is a taller order than having the support of the entire market behind it.
All right. Thank you, Forrest.
Yep.
All right. So if you enjoyed this live stream, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your crypto family. Not being in crypto is a financial crime, so tell a friend to tell a friend to get into crypto and to join Tokenmetrics. All right. So going on to the next question from the AMA. Is there any coin under $20 million market cap that you really like? All right, great question. So anybody with any coins off the top of their head, Bill or Forrest?
Not familiar with the exact market cap at this moment, but you mentioned it earlier. I really like Rarible. I think if NFTs continue, and I'm just pulling up my portfolio here so I can look at the other coins, but I do think Rarible is a solid project and a big narrative that we're not done with seeing. We haven't seen the end of the NFT narrative yet.
Yeah. All right. So I'm also going through my watch list right now to see if there are any coins I've been watching with a market cap under 20 million. Okay. Just give us a few moments here. I want to make sure we're finding products with. So I would say NFTX. This scored over an 80. It isn't on my watch list. I haven't bought this yet, but I'm just watching it. For those who don't know what this is, it's basically an index platform for NFTs. So it's kind of like creating a basket of NFTs. It's been on my watch list for a while. Market cap 19 million. I have to do more research on this, but it's one of the few NFT projects we've scored that's had a code review score over 80. So definitely on my watch list. One other one I think might be. Actually, I don't think that this has a market cap. I was looking at Swift Chain. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, Swift Chain is basically a DEX on Cosmos, but currently it has no market cap. But on my watch list, I would say Kine has been on my watch list for a while. Kine Protocol, but no plans to buy this anytime soon. But I've just been watching this, so market cap also 19 million. And let me just take a quick look here. Actually, let me take a look at Edgeware. Edgeware is smart contracts on Ethereum. Yeah, that's 46. That's not quite there yet, but definitely watching that as well. And that's pretty much it for the most part. I have other coins, but they have market caps over 20 million that I am watching. Okay. Anybody else with any altcoins they want to share?
Not under that low of a market cap. One that's performed really well this week for me is up 45% this week. That's Rally. Again, in the decentralized content space. I think it's a bit above $100 million market cap, but that is one of the lower market cap tokens that I'm pretty bullish on.
Speaking of Rally, I have been watching that as well. I did actually join BitClout. People were talking about that. We finally did a code review to our customers on that. We sent that out last week. Currently has no market cap, but I did end up launching my account. Okay, but thank you for that question. Let's now move on to the next part. What would be smart? What would be the smart action to do with your portfolio if we are certain the market is going to crash? 1, leave your portfolio alone, or 2, sell some of it. We've kind of answered this question. This varies, but basically, if you've made a bunch of money, take some profits, right? Whether that means you sell, liquidate part of your portfolio, whether that means you borrow against it to keep the potential for any future upside while not having to create a taxable event, or whether you sell everything, right? But whatever helps you sleep at night, I think you should do that. I think the fact that you're asking that question probably means you should probably take some profits. With that being said, Forrest to Bill, anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think with this, you want to consider the opportunity cost of capital. So if you leave all of your money in a portfolio and not all of the coins survive, if you sell and you at least have something available, you've got money for the next big thing, and you've got that along with your peace of mind. So you don't want to make a double decision. It's hard enough to pick bottoms in bear markets, but you don't want to be like, well, should I sell this to buy this speculative coin? It's too hard of a decision psychologically, right? So if you think it's going down, you want to have capital to invest with a clear head.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So question here from Donna. How to pick 3 projects out of the many high-scoring code reviews from Tokenmetrics when there are so many? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, very good question, right? The market has given us so many good projects. What I've personally been doing is increasing the threshold. So right now, I'm only looking at projects with a code review score over 85 to research, right? So what I do is I look at what our research is doing, and I then curate from there, right? So ideally, I would like to have a project have a score of 85% on both the fundamental and the code review, especially in a market like this. And even then, I have to go in and do my own deep dive research to see if I like the project, right? So making sure that this is a project I think will be around based on tokenomics, right? Based on their actual incentives for me to hold the token. That's why I like Integral DEX. It's a cash flow positive token. In a bear market, yes, there'll be less traders, but I still think DEXs will still have trading volume. And the owners of that token, the stakers of that token, will still be earning a portion of the fees being earned by that protocol, right? So that to me gives me an incentive to hold during a bear market, because I basically learned this through Tornado Cash. Great technology. I mean, even Vitalik was talking about it, but I mean, no, there's no reason to hold the token, right? Because I mean, even governance, nobody's going to pay the gas fees to vote on a privacy product that they're barely using, right? So that made me reconsider, right? So us as a team also had to go back and really tweak how we really evaluate projects, because something can have amazing tech but not really be useful to hold in the bear market, right? Anybody else with any comments or thoughts on that in terms of how they sift through all the different projects with great code review scores?
Yeah, I would just layer in, adding in entry point analysis. So, right, you might find a project that has done or scored extremely well. Let's just use Audius as an example. But if you did no entry point analysis on it and you bought it at $4 to $5 at its top because you weren't looking at a trend line or you weren't looking at its market cap compared to where it had recently been, and you didn't, you look at the fact that it was up like 300% in 2 weeks and realize that it's probably not the smartest time to FOMO into it, then you're left underwater on a potentially a really good investment, right? You don't want to be down 80% on a phenomenal investment. And then just because its price action has been down recently, you might be questioning your investment. So I'd say look for really good projects, but also look for good entry points. Look for projects that are undervalued because the market's been tanking lately. So projects like Audius, for example, at 88 cents, or projects like Alpha at 53 cents, right? Or lower if they continue to drop.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Moving on to the next question. If you could only hold 3 coins between now and the end of 2021, which 3 coins would you choose? Oh, to me, this is easy. Ethereum, Polygon, Helium Network. Forrest?
Nano ETH dot.
Bill?
Helium, Tether, and Ethereum.
Tether, wow. That's an interesting one there, Bill. All right, so to the audience, tell us what you think. What 3 coins would you hold between now and the end of 2021? Okay, all right. Moving on. Okay, I am even on my portfolio. I have 27 coins. Only 5 are outside of Token Metrics recommendation. What would be a wise thing to do? Sell everything or just sit through the storm? I do not need the money. All right. We've kind of answered this question several ways already. But I mean, pretty much if you don't need the money, then I would just say, do you think all those 27 coins will bounce back, or rather be around it in the next 5 to 10 years? If the answer is yes, then I would just hold, right? If the answer is no, then I would only keep the ones you think would be around in the next 5 to 10 years. Anybody with any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share my screen real quick. I mean, this is total cryptocurrency market cap. So this is representing all cryptocurrencies. Obviously, the idea is to pick good projects so that we outperform the performance of this curve. But I mean, it's been going up for the last 7 to 8 years at an exponential rate. So if if you're in this for the long term, you really have to be careful about where you sell, because historically there's only been a couple really good places to sell. Maybe this is one of them, but maybe we go to the top of this channel again. Maybe we go to the bottom. Obviously that's giving you multiple scenarios, and that's not very helpful. But what I hope this demonstrates is the fact that holding onto good projects in crypto is not necessarily a bad thing, even if we come down, because if your time horizon is long enough, you know that crypto is a very, very fast growing asset class, right? And you have to be very, very careful about selling crypto, especially good projects like Ethereum or other solid projects, when you know that we're in the long term headed upwards. All right. So if you believe in crypto long term, just be very careful about selling.
All right. Thank you. So Bill actually has to go pretty early. So Bill, any last words to our crypto family?
Yes, friends, happy Father's Day, and we appreciate you tuning in with us. When it comes to bear markets, always practice intellectual flexibility. For example, if you say, I don't really need the money, ask yourself, what would you do if you did? Keep an eye on legacy. This is going to be a 2 to 3 week period where you're going to need to stay focused on that, and stay with Token Metrics and Token Metrics TV for all the latest. So take care.
And thank you, Bill. Happy Father's Day. All right. So let's answer a few more questions. Then we'll also wrap up on our end. Next question: is this a good time to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum? All right. Very good question. Let's go to Forrest. What do you think based on your analysis?
With a long enough time frame, absolutely. I mean, you're essentially buying Ethereum pre Ethereum 2.0 merge, and I think in the future, a couple of years from now, we're going to be like, man, remember when Ethereum was $2,000 before the Ethereum 2.0 merge? Or you're going to start hearing people in 2026 talk about, I've been in crypto since pre Ethereum 2.0. And that's going to hold a lot of weight and merit. We're in the middle of a shorter term dip. And like I just showed, we're kind of sitting in the middle of this total cryptocurrency market cap channel where, maybe we break upwards and see a big bull market. Maybe we come back down to the trend line and find support and a bounce. It's really uncertain at this time. From a longer term perspective, I do think that buying crypto now is going to, I think the growth of this asset class and the growth of Bitcoin and Ethereum will bail you out of any future dips, right? If we do see a dip and Ethereum goes from 2,100, 2,200 where it is today, all the way down to 800-900, and then find support down there, I think Ethereum will absolutely bail you out and go to $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 in the future. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there. So do I think it's the absolute best time ever to buy crypto? No, but if you have a long enough time frame, I think it's still a winning investment long term.
All right. Thank you for that. So is it a good time to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum? If you're trying to trade it, I don't think so. Long term, as Forrest mentioned, I think both of them will do well. But if I had to choose between the two, I mean, I have no Bitcoin. All of you by now should know my thesis on that. So pretty much, I think it's always a good time to buy Ethereum if you have a 10-year perspective, right? 10-year roadmap in a way. But if you're trading it, I don't think really now is a good time. If anything, a bear market is the best time to buy, and then bull market is the best time to take profits. All right, thank you for that question. All right, what do you think of Michael Burry's warning that a massive crash in the economy is coming? Okay, I haven't read too much about this, but I do know he's very skeptical. But basically, if you're in crypto by now, you should not be surprised by this, because crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of crypto is basically a hedge against legacy finance and inflation and printing of money and QE. So, I mean, what he's saying to us is what we've all been saying in crypto for the last 5-10 years, right? So it's not really anything special, because if anything, all of us have been ready for this, right? We've been primed for this. We've been prepping for this, right? That's why we hedge and put almost all of our assets in crypto. Forrest, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. I mean, they just doubled the money supply in a year. I mean, you can't expect that to go without consequences. There's large scale inflation coming in. There's issues with our economy. You can't just keep interest rates super low and continue to print money and expect there not to be repercussions down the line. Exactly what Ian just said. That's the reason crypto exists, and that's the reason we're in crypto. So yes, in the short term, will it be really unfortunate if legacy crashes and people lose a lot of money, both in legacy and in crypto, because crypto in the short term could absolutely crash if legacy gets wiped out as well? Sure. But in the long-term time frame, and that's a really, really important mindset to have. Like Ian just talked about having a 10-year mindset on Ethereum. That's why we're in this space in the first place, is to hedge against that, to hedge against monetary policy that can just be changed and flipped on a whim, right? We're investing in cryptocurrencies that have real utility, provide real value, and have real hard monetary policies. And that's for a reason.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Okay, so let's make this the last question of the night, then we'll wrap things up. All right, so I am looking to invest $10,000 in crypto. Any must-have suggestions? Definitely a lot. Let's begin with Forrest. What do you think? Any tips?
Yeah. So I think Ethereum is a really good place to start, and then branching out into Ethereum-based projects, particularly in the DeFi space, is a really good place to start. I would also look into ways to earn yield on that 10,000, whether it's projects with staking like Polkadot or yield farming. I'm just going to go ahead and get ahead of Ian here because I already know he's going to say it. Take out the not financial advice, but taking a couple $100 out of there and getting a Helium hotspot and having that pay itself off. I know there's a backlist, or they're back ordered and they're taking a while to ship out, but obviously Helium is a great project to be mining right now.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have $10,000 to invest in crypto, what would you do? Or rather, what would I do? Yeah, I mean, I would first look for ways to earn crypto passively. So mining that through Helium network, or even plotting through Chia network, because that's almost free, right? Then I would definitely use Ethereum as my store of value. I'm basically looking to earn more Ethereum with all my altcoins. I would diversify my portfolio, making sure I have minimum 4 different cryptocurrencies. So I would find crypto assets I think will be around in the next 5 to 10 years. So me personally, that would be Ethereum, Polygon, Helium network, Chia network. I like Integral Dex. I'll definitely look into yield farming. If anything, I would probably look more into yield farming on Polygon, because the fees there would be a lot lower. Now, I haven't done any yield farming on Polygon. Me actually using Aave on Polygon was probably the first time I've really used Polygon. And I was actually pretty blown away with how it's kind of like, for the people out there who use Binance Smart Chain, it's kind of like that, except running on Ethereum, right? That's why it's really taken off. So maybe, because with 10K, you can't really participate in DeFi because of the fees. But if you can take maybe a quarter of that, move it down to Polygon using the Polygon bridge, and then maybe find good products on the Polygon ecosystem to yield farm, that could be it. I don't think we've really found any good Polygon projects though, but we'll probably have our team do a deeper dive into their ecosystem and see if there's anything that scores over an 80. Outside of that, staking, right? Stake and forget. Find good projects, stake, walk away, come back, right? I've shared a story of a person on our team who basically were staking Polygon, Matic, for over a year, and they totally forgot about it because it was in some random wallet they have, and recently they came back to see that they had over $100,000 in Polygon in a wallet they totally forgot about, right? Because they were staking it, right? So stake and forget works wonders. So with that being said, let us know what you would do with $10,000 in crypto down below. Okay, all right. Forrest, any last words to our crypto family?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions a lot of your questions that were asked tonight can be kind of boiled down to, do you have a long-term time frame or a short-term time frame? Things get really, really easy when you start looking through a long-term mindset. So that's what I would urge. Of course, not financial advice. I would urge everybody to to zoom out, we've got some, crypto is a volatile asset class. We all know that, and that can, play on our emotions. We've had volatility. We've had we've got people talking about a death cross. You've got people talking about bear markets, people hoping we go back into a bull market. But if you zoom out and just make rational decisions based off of the long term, whether you like it or not, time passing is inevitable. 5 years from now, the year 2026 is going to get here, and when 2026 gets here, you're going to be thankful if you had a long-term time frame, a long-term mindset in crypto. So it will get here regardless, and it's going to make a lot of your decisions easier if you just keep that long-term time frame in mind.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So my closing thoughts, I'll pretty much just reiterate what I said earlier. You can't be halfway pregnant, right? Either you are a trader or you're an investor, right? If you're trying to do both, you'll do neither well, right? So you don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none in when it comes to investing or trading, right? So for me, that's why I stopped trading. I'm basically just a value investor. I know what I do, I stick to it, and it works for me, right? If you're trying to do both, that's where newbies lose money, right? Because if you're halfway pregnant as a trader and value investor, you're basically competing with people who are all the way in, all in, right? So figure out what you're doing. Sometimes it's just based on your psyche, right? If your psyche causes you to have anxiety, then maybe you have to be a trader. Then that means you have to learn TA, or maybe you use automated quant strategies. Stick to that, right? But find what works for you, stick to it. Don't try to straddle both sides, because that's when people really get wrecked, right? So if you're nervous with the market, then maybe you should be trading. If you're trading, keep things simple. Don't put more than 1% of your portfolio into any one trade. No trade should kill you, right? If one trade kills you, then that's not really a crypto or trading problem. That's just risk management problem, right? That's just common sense in a way, right? But if you're value investing, then you should not be going where the wind blows, right? That's not value investing. That's called speculating. That's gambling. If you're a value investor, you should only change your investment based on fundamentals, right? For example, the example was Alpha, right? If you like Alpha and it's great technology, and they just announced version 2, why are you selling, right? I mean, unless you're trading it, right? Then there's your answer, right? So anyway, we hope that's been helpful. As usual, we'll have more updates at Tokemetrics with our daily newsletter and our daily TV at Tokemetrics TV. Bill will have his market update tomorrow. With that being said, we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Life-changing money to a point where you can buy your mom and dad a brand new house, right? You can pay for college loans. You can invest in your future, not have to work again, pursue your dreams, your passion, not have to have a job, work that 9-to-5 grind, right? Break the system, hack the system. This is what this show is all about.
They said relax but never retire. Feeling detached, never inspired. They told me relax but I can't retire. I'm feeling detached, never inspired. Like I would live on but never rely. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They living a lie. Now here's the mission, die or decide. You would die the now. Corporate life is so redundant when your freedom isn't free. It comes to being someone, just believe that you can be. And now how can I have hunger when they tell me when to eat? How can I lead others when they tell me who to meet? Then they tell me when to come and then they tell me when to leave. They say how much they give and then forget how much I need. It's the precious to succeed with the lessons of the greed. I question who to be and saw this message is in me. I gotta know.
Life-changing money.
I wanna work for myself, I gotta work for myself, I gotta go.
You can invest in your future, not
Raise
have to work
spirits to
again.
the moon, put nerves on the shelf, I gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your
I
passion.
wanna stay free or want the safety, I gotta go.
Break the system, hack the system.
Although they paid me,
This is what the
they
show's
never
all
made
about.
me. I wanna relax, forever retire. I wanna detach, I'm feeling inspired. They told me relax, but I can't retire. I gotta detach, gotta decide. They got me thinking I would live on, but never rely. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They living a lie. Now here's the mission, die or decide. You or die now. Hey, hey, hey. I will never be a wage slave. I gotta stay made. Ay, ay, ay. I used to see this in the 8th grade. Wasn't a day late. Ay, ay, ay. I found the love that I was seeking. Life that I'm leading. Ay, ay, ay. Now I can do this every weekend, cause I'm a free man. I was in Tokyo, riding the job wheel, the rodeo, dancing with the devil for payment. I couldn't do, but I was driven. The mission gave me an open road. Made a decision to whip him like it's a motor show. 6-figure slave, I was paid, wasn't well though. Heard of crypto underground, it became my railroad. Started making earnest money, it's for whom the bell tolls. Went from wishing for sales closed to sales. Now I can relax, forever retired. Now I'm detached, forever inspired. Now I can relax, forever retired. I had to detach, had to decide. And now I'm thinking I can live on and not just survive. You know this system, AM till 5. They try to say a job's a give on, they living a lie. I made a mission, die or decide. Do or die now, crypto retirement, yeah, that's where my mind went. Started thinking higher, now they can't hire my time spent. No, not retire like 65 when your job ends. More like an island, and if I'm buy it, I buy it. Free travel, dealership sweet dabble. I reign like Leeds Castle, you reign like Seattle. We went from sheep cattle to eating beef and mackerel at feast. No lassos, just beliefs me in a saddle. You gotta know.
Like life changing, like
You wanna work for yourself, you gotta work for yourself, you gotta go.
not have to work again.
Raise spirits to the moon, put nerves on the shelf, you gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your passion.
You wanna stay free or want the safety, you gotta go.
This is what the show is all about.
Although they paid you, they never made you. No, we can relax, forever retire. Now we detach, forever inspired. Now we can relax, forever retire. We had to detach, had to decide. And now we know that we can live on and not just survive. We left the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs a give on, they live in a lie. We made a mission, die or decide. Do or die now.
I'm here to put you guys on and share all the different resources and tips I come across in my journey to making $1 million and making $1 billion, right? I'm trying to share this with the world for free. I'm not here to sell you some $2,000 course, ebook, webinar, whatever, right? I'm here to put you guys on the game for free, open source, right? The same model as blockchain, Bitcoin, or these cryptocurrencies. I'm here to share everything with you guys.
Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.